Welcome in YouTube. I got a special guest, friend of the channel. Mobile Gamer's going to come here and visit. We're going to talk about CC this week and some of the overarching problems of CC right now, and just what to look forward to in the next last 2 weeks of Crucible. So we're going to open with we're going to start with the bad first. We're going to talk about the CC player distribution. You ready to get into it, Mobile?
Well, I want to say that you brought this to my attention, and everything that we're going to talk about this video, I think people that are watching going to know that this is true. Is that when diamonds were introduced into the rewards, like the weekend rewards, it's more impactful than it is now. And since last season, it got worse. And I just thought that I was playing worse, but it's just fundamentally designed in a way where the season reset creates problems. And you're the one that told me about it. And I was like, yeah, I knew that because I got one orb last week and I'm at like 300 and I got one orb, and you're at in the top 100 and you got an orb and a half. And it's like, what are they doing over there? I feel like it's the rewards are bad across the board for all players right now when it comes to the weekly rewards and getting diamond orbs, right? That's what we're going to talk about, right? Diamond orbs.
Yeah. So there's two main problems with it right now. We're going to start with the overarching one, which is the season reward reset, and then we'll go into individually when they change the reset this season and how that just even if Scopely could show me that they're better, it just feels worse. Leave it at that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to start with the first part, which is this distribution problem. So this is a very nice video Reddit post. Shout out to this person. I can't see his actual name. He just goes over his tracking of season from season to season, and how he starts in Plat 2 at 39K, and then he slowly goes down, and so now he is in season 6, and he is almost in he's in Diamond 1, or basically in gold, and just the
Mm-hmm.
drop, like, think about that. You've worked hard, you've basically been winning, and now you're physically just in a lower league in the same spot. What are your thoughts of that? Like,
Well, yeah. I mean, I here's the thing: is the season resets, and I understand why they're doing it this way on some level. Like, I feel like an alliance war. At some point, there's no chase, like, and then there's no reset. So, like, a couple alliances get at the top, and they get these really high numbers, and then there's an elo system. And Cosmic Crucible doesn't use an elo system, but they're trying to get us to reset every season and push back as high as we can and then get the best rewards. But it's not really working out that way. And I think you're going to talk about it right here is just at the top end, the number of peoples in the grandmaster category is shrunk to nearly nothing. But this affects all the players and all the rewards. People are just basically getting worse and worse rewards.
yeah, and so that's kind of what I was. So Scopely is aware of this from more of a upper end, because I mean, I've personally sent them things, and I know Dorky has and other players. But it's always been coming from the Grandmasters. So just to kind of preview, I finish in
Yeah,
Grandmasters
right.
every season. Yeah. All right. So one of the things we're going to talk about is the overarching theme, or the big picture, which is the problem with CC rewards as general, was this what we call the resets. So the resets are doing this thing where, as they're resetting, you're not climbing up as high as you used to be. And so we're having this issue where, let's say you're in Grandmasters. I finished in Grandmasters for all but one season. In the first season, I was 130, and I still was Grandmasters. Season 2, I was 60. Didn't get into season 3. Season 4, I finished 39 and still got Grandmasters. And then, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems like it's compressed because right now in season 5, only 11 people are in Grandmasters. And the number probably only go to about 15 because they're compressing it. And big picture, like, so that's the top, right? But for everybody, if you look at this chart,
All
everybody's
right.
experiencing this, right? It's not just the guys at the very
Right.
top. It's everybody. You are probably, if you were a Masters player, now you're probably in like Diamond 2, at that
Right.
same like score. You know what I mean? So what are your thoughts on that?
So here's the thing is this is affecting everybody, and whether you're in grandmasters or diamond or whatever has nothing to do with matchmaking, but it has 100% everything to do with rewards. And so what's happening is there's this compression that's happening with the season reset, and that means we're getting worse and worse rewards. with every season reset, and there's fewer and fewer people getting into the higher tiers, and it's harder to get into the higher tiers, which just means less rewards. Now they did a couple different changes, and they switched from the bad diamond orbs to the better diamond orbs, but I used to get a lot more of them, and now I'm only getting one. And I don't, and it has to do with I'm not able to get into the higher tiers as easily. Nobody is. It's just the way it's set up. And so this is a rewards issue. It's not about matchmaking. It's not about ooh, I got into whatever league. It's like we're just getting worse rewards, right?
Yeah.
This is the problem, and it's affecting everybody.
Yeah, and just Scopely, here's a heads up from my math teacher. What you can do instead of dropping us down is if you drop everyone down in that same league to the bottom of the league, instead of dropping us down a whole league, I get resets why you want to do it, but if you just did it to that, so like if you're in Grandmasters, instead of being dropped down to 2000, get me drop down to 2030. There that would keep those pools the same size, while still making it people having to work back up, so no one's like jumping far ahead. Just put them, put everybody one, maybe one win away from being demoted, but keep everybody in that same bracket that they were already in, either Masters, Grandmasters, Diamond, Platinum. So
Well,
they're
I mean, they don't even have to do that. They could just move to a leaderboard system, right?
yeah.
And whoever's in the top one, two, three, top 100, top 1%, whatever. And then it doesn't matter if you're in diamond, you're just nowhere near. Then that just gets rid of the whole diamond grandmaster thing altogether, right? If they just
Yeah.
went to a leaderboard system. So I don't know why they're doing it this way, to be honest.
I imagine that there's probably more coding on there. I'm just trying to think of an easy fix. Like, how do you fix this without like
Yeah,
having to redo all your code, redo all your working? And I think that that's.
right.
But either one works. Just come on, guys. Like, you can't keep shrinking the rewards for everybody. It's not effect. I'm showing from my experience, but it's an all every player thing. This guy is plat 2, and we're gonna link this in the description. And hopefully, Scopely, if you see this, please look at this, read this through. This is affecting everybody, not just the Krakens, the upper level players. This is everybody who's playing Crucible is seeing a deduction of rewards. The next thing that we're going to talk about is just actually going into game. We're just going to look at the rewards for today. Now, they added a training mat, so that's nice. I think the training mats were really helpful, but
Yeah.
the other rewards are lackluster. I mean, the fact that this is a top 100 reward structure. I'm getting a little bit over 1.5 orbs, maybe two if I'm first place, and it's a lot of work to get up here. And I imagine that if I'm up here, I can't imagine what everybody else is getting. I mean, I can because we can look at the rankings, right? Um, and just the fact that we were getting 5 or 6 of these a day, each week, or
Right.
the fact that I'm just opening physically less orbs. I get that they're better orbs. It just feels bad, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then and it's harder to get into the higher tiers because this is really just a function of rewards, whether you're in platinum or masters. It's just rewards. It doesn't change the matchmaking or anything like that. So we're just getting worse rewards. They don't need to drop us down as far so that we can actually get the better rewards.
Yeah, and and yeah, and then just to go on all that, the store needs some love. I get that there's probably gonna be extreme. I'll be putting in here in a couple of weeks, but man, is this thing getting old in the tooth? They need to update this. They need to put something in here that's of value, for everybody. Just so it doesn't become one of those things where it becomes such a problem that they don't want to fix it anymore. But I'm not going
Right.
to harp on that one too much. Right? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, there's always this problem in the game where they let a store slide and then people stop spending the currency because there's no value in what they're buying. And then the currency gets built up in certain players to the point where if they do change the store, basically they've incentivized hoarders and then they don't.
Yeah.
So they almost kind of have to tackle this early in making something in there that is of value to not only you know give us a reason to push and play better, but also so that we don't want to hoard or there's no incentive to hoard, right? I mean, the thing is, I know they don't like hoarders, but they need to de-incentivize it as much as possible.
Yes, absolutely. Um, but we're gonna start hopping on the next thing. So we're gonna just kind of go over how did your last week go? How did you do? And I'll go over mine.
All right, so I did full turtle strategy, which I'm going to move away from. I went 2-1. I could have went 3-0 if I would have played smarter. I made some mistakes, and then it came down to my opponent and I made the same amount of mistakes, and it came down to efficiency, and they were more efficient. So I was happy with the strategy, but from a win loss perspective, but I didn't find the strategy that fulfilling. And then also, there's a couple things that are going to make this week different than last week. And one of them is Iron Patriot. It's going to change the effectiveness of King, which I think we're going to talk about. And then you've got some other strategies that are I think, going to be proved to be better. Plus, we found new counters, right? There was a new counter discovered. Somebody that played against you put Lizard with new warriors against Noir Secret Defenders, and that seems to be effective because it was RNG Fest with full new warriors against that team. So there's some things have changed in the last week, which is the way it should be. It feels like it's different every week. I love it.
Yeah, I love that it's changed every single week that we're getting into this. This is almost the end of the season, and we got 2 weeks left, and we're changing. And just to kind of give you all a preview, I got Dorky in here. If you have a small, another content creator, Pat DM, I have an alliance mate. L1 is in here too, so I'm excited for this week of CC.
Yeah, I
Uh,
recognize one of my alliance mates in there too. Keen. Yeah, there you go.
yeah, so I've either faced them all before. I'm just looking forward to maybe having collaboration with like one of the two of them. I'm excited for this week. So as you just said, one of my issues. So I went 1-2, and the first round I had no chance because he one shot my extreme Black Knight because my Black Knight's just not big enough, and I had to two tap his. We ran a very similar defense in the second round. I lost to Secret Defenders with Morgan Le Fay. So if you have a Diamond Morgan Le Fay, she actually is a good counter to New Warriors because if she doesn't die on the opener, she will flip everything when she ults, and it turns really, really bad. But I don't have a big enough Morgan to do that. But that is just an option for people listening. If you have a giant, if you put diamonds on your Morgan for whatever reason, you may want to look at that over Noir, right? Because as people have just solved that, they're going to have that access to that, right?
Yeah, I actually have a diamond on Morgan Le Fay, and it's probably the reason why I don't have a 3 diamond apocalypse. So maybe I got to take advantage of it, right?
All right, so kind of going over my rooms, I have Phoenix in here. Phoenix gives stats, right? So she gives damage and health to the team. Can't be wrong with that. If she is lower, even if she has lower health bars, if she gets knocked low below 50%, she's gonna force Rogue to taunt. Um, that's what my thinking is here. What is your thoughts on that?
Well, I feel like this room is all about Gambit, Gambit, and Gambit. And, if you can get more damage out of Gambit, that is a good thing. It's also a distraction and keeps the focus off of Gambit. That's what everything in that room is doing is, there's a point in the match where Gambit can wipe almost any team under the correct circumstances. And so this just adds to that.
Yeah, exactly. And then Gambit's terrifying. Everyone, I mean, I've seen so many videos of people losing just because of Gambit, right? Gambit and Nightcrawler, those health thresholds are just so ridiculous. If they're below 50%, they can just wipe out your whole team, and you can really do nothing about it. Um,
Yeah, 200. It's the room rules too, right? If they're below 50%, look out. That ultimate probably is going to do 3 million damage to everyone on your team.
yeah,
It's a problem.
it's a full wipe. 2 and 3, we've seen these before. I'm not going to get too heavy into them. Just look at the spreadsheet. There's plenty of counters for these teams that you can be using to help counter this, to help build out your other attacks. There's something special about these, so I'm not going to go too deep into this. But we are going to talk about 4,
Mhm.
5, and 6. So my thought process of 4 is that this team is just annoying. You could still one shot it with like MOE APOC, teams like that, but it's still going to take a big response to this. And have you found experience? How would your BK Extreme do last week?
Okay, so this team is either going to suck up a Void Knight or it's going to suck up an APOC. Well, we could talk about it a little bit too. Maybe there's an opportunity for MOE Iron Patriot because Iron Patriot, even though it's not getting the full Cabal benefits, it's still going to be putting out vulnerables, and it's going to be giving 50% damage. And maybe there's a way that you're someone using Kang plus Iron Patriot could be delete the Black Knight right out of the gate, right?
Yeah. So Iron Patriot does two things. He puts vulnerables, and when he does that, he actually increases the damage that per vulnerable, and then also he gives them basically a free offense up. He gives them 50% damage just to start with. So a smaller Black Knight's gonna get one shot by a Kang. So you have to be watchful of that, especially if you're in an area where spenders like me. Uh, Iron Patriot's gonna be a nice sub in for our Apocalypse with Kang for today, right? So I totally agree.
I just want to put this out there. As soon as leader hits the game, Crucible's going to change entirely. Like it's going to be a different everything. But even adding one member changes enough right now for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, I got value out of Namor last week. Somebody put Pegasus, and he's a good. He goes really good with Eternals right now. Namor actually did pretty well with Masters of Evil last week against Extreme. I was able to use Namor with my Masters of Evil. His rewind after the vulnerable, you just changed Kang to a Raider, and that rewind came after, and it just helps so much. And that'll be much more reliable. If you're trying to beat Extreme with it, you can use both of them. Just drop Ultron, and I believe I dropped Ultron and Exorbiman, and it was just super. Or sorry, I dropped Ultron this time, but I probably dropped Ultron and Exorbiman, and use the three
He does
piece.
a lot of damage. He does a lot of damage. Yeah, for sure. If he takes a turn, right? And then if when he does take a turn, they got the rewind as long as they have vulnerables out there, and it's a lot of damage.
Yeah, and it's just a fun team to use. So just keep an eye on it. There's some of the options. Be sure to check out videos on people using them. That's just the exciting part of this team is that you can start using the pieces today. They're not a modular team where you need every single piece to be useful. You just need, as you unlock them, you're gonna have value in them. But moving on to room 5, what is your thoughts on? So Jubilee does a few things, and you can kind of get into what do you think?
Okay, well, my experience with this team without Jubilee is that Nightcrawler can be a nightmare. I mean, it's Nightcrawler, right? And so, but you kind of have to go after Forge first, and I think this is just a function of Jubilee's passive. And I don't know if people really well, you want to talk about it? Like, what should people actually build up their Jubilee this high? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Um, First of all, 2 weeks left in the season. You should be, if you're the wise thing, prudent thing for advice is save your resources for whatever the next room rolls is, because you never know if you're gonna get to pump more resources into Affinity Watch, if you're gonna need to pump more resources into Hive Mind, whoever. You have a level up cap increase, right? So if you're not hitting level 100, this is such a secondary thing, and also because if she's lower, you can cheese her because if she dies, Cyclops is going to speed up Forge, and Forge is going to go, and that's just an annoying thing. And so she's going to be good and useful, even at that G16, level 85 or so on defense at my level, for that secondary reason, right? And at a minimum, she's a
Right,
passive. She gives them damage and health, I believe.
right. Yeah,
So
so the thing about Jubilee is absolutely, the cheese effect of her dying off early, and then it's just her passive. And but other than that, I don't. I mean, I don't know if I would suggest people going crazy and upgrading her like super high.
yeah, and then room 6 is just it's scroll with a revive.
Oh my god!
So that's just there are teams that beat this in one shot, especially if you have a scroll on offense, but it's gonna pull away from the other rooms. That's the goal of this team. Um, this is also lending you more turtle, right? Because this is the first room. If you need more offense, this is the one I break up, right? My first step is I'm gonna pull Dorm off this team. My second step is I'm gonna put Sus on this team, or take Sus off this team, and then use Super Scroll on offense, and then I'm gonna put something else here, maybe a Dorm as Guardians or something,
Hmm.
because you can still get value. Um, Whereas this is more on the turtle side, right? This room 6 is
Yeah,
because I have everything built out. This would be the
you,
first
you
room.
could put Beta there and place one of those too. If someone didn't want to do like Dorm or Super Scroll there, right? You could probably just put Beta Ray Bill
Yeah,
and see how that goes.
yeah, and all these parts can be really helpful on offense. And so, just costing you again, I'm playing a little more turtle because I have a more built out roster. But if you don't, this is a room you might want to consider not putting on defense. So you have the offense to clear, right? Because clearing is the most important thing you ever want to do. You won't win as many CCs if you don't clear. um,
Yeah.
flat out. So awesome. Last thing is just to recap, y'all. There is 2 weeks left of this season. So one of your things you should be looking at is what is your goal, right? So I'm at 167. My goal is to go at least 3-3, so I can stay in the top 200. Um, what is your like goal, right? You always want to say you want to win, but what is like this is a good time to
Well,
look at.
I can coast in the top 100 or the top 1%, but and if I push, like right now I'm at 300 and something, low 300. So like if I can get the top 200, that'd be amazing, right?
Yeah.
But we'll have to see.
Yeah, and so just be aware of that. And again, I just want to emphasize, this is the time to start building up those resources for the next season, because hopefully by next week we're gonna start seeing some of those room rules come out in the blog, um, and you need those resources to help invest that. But again, I am hopeful that I'm going 3-3. I hope I get some good matchups these last couple weeks. This is the exciting part of the season. Be pumped up, get those wins. Look at the spreadsheet. There's over 200 counters just to shout out Sprinks and Squat Shulu. They've put hours into that. They've combed over so many videos to give y'all over 200 counters that you can use to help build out and win your CCs. So make sure to check them out. They are great, and so just a huge shout out to them. They've done so much for this community.
Love the counter sheet. It's been super useful.
Awesome. So is there anything else you want to talk about before we head out?
I just can't wait to play this week. I'm just really hoping that Phoenix and Jubilee works out. I'm just gonna be beyond thrilled if they do, because I feel like a lot of people felt that the reworks were uneventful. So we will see.
Yeah. So hopefully these work out. Hopefully these give people problems. Maybe hopefully you find some uses for X23. If you find those counters or X23 on offense and you show me, send me those screenshots. Comment below. Show us, hey, here's where you can use X23 in the next weeks. Here's somewhere else you could use them. Would love to see those in the comments section below. But we're gonna head out now and hope y'all have a great week too, and hope y'all finish the season well. Later, y'all.
Bye for now.